Let's talk about Zaya. She came out as transgender, I think a little over a year ago. I mean, and I think that just was eye-opening for many people to see how the two of you would handle it and how the difference that she's made in your life. You said she has been your greatest teacher. How so?
She was my greatest teacher before I knew, before she came home and said that she was transgender. And it was just the way that I was raised. I was raised like, man up. And once I got around to Zaya, I couldn't. Something inside of me, I couldn't even like punish her, right? And so she started teaching me that it's not one way, Dad. Like, I'm not Zaire, Dad.
Yes.
You actually have to parent me. You actually have to get to know and learn.
Was that hard for you, Dwyane? Was it hard to make the adjustment?
It wasn't hard to, because I love her. You know, my wife was very important. Her care with Zaya, her hand on Zaya was way different than mine. And so I learned how to be, you know, a little bit softer. I learned how to not come in with so much aggression and over talking. I learned how to sit back and actually listen.
Former NBA star and I assume future Hall of Famer Dwyane Wade speaks like that many times. He's done multiple interviews about his daughter, his family, his marriage with Gabrielle Union, famous actress there. But now there's a bit of a public spat going on. It doesn't look all that good that he's finally decided to weigh in on. And of course, it still surrounds his daughter Zaya, as he's put forward this petition early this year to legally change her name and assign gender on her birth certificate. Now, her birth mother is not Gabrielle Union. It's a woman named Siohvaughn Funches, Dwyane Wade's ex-wife, and she's now objecting to it. And she has some details and some accusations that are pretty out there. So in Funches-Wade's legal document dated October 31st and filed with the Los Angeles County Court, she requested her child, who's 15 and a half, be given the opportunity at the age of majority, which is 2.5 years away, to make this monumental decision for themselves. Funches-Wade claimed in court documents that Dwyane, did not consult her about the decision to legally change their daughter's name to Zaya. Funches-Wade alleged that her ex-husband told her in April of this year they would make Zaya famous with the name change. It's according to Entertainment Tonight, which obtained a copy of this court filing. She said that she's concerned that our child is being commercialized at a young age and is also worried about the uncontrollable consequences of media exposure. She says, I have concerns that Dwyane may be pressuring our child to move forward with the name and gender change in order to capitalize on the financial opportunities that he has received from companies. That's what the filing said. So these accusations of, hey, we're doing the name change and legally on birth certificates for who she is about money. That's what now she's pushing. And Dwyane Wade, because as you saw that he's selling a book, he does media things. I'm sure all these things are connected with it. So it's one of those things that if you don't really know who these folks are, you might go, well, that makes sense. I could see Dwyane Wade saying something like that. Well, he said a lot more in response. He posted a long response to this petition and pushback and blocking from his ex-wife on Instagram. I'm gonna go to the second little part about this first page here. He says, while none of us are surprised by Siohvaughn's attempt to fight Zaya's identity and her unwavering attempt to drag my name through the mud, I'm very disappointed that she continuously finds ways of centering herself and her needs without regarding her children. Then he talked about how Zaya's doing well, 4.0 GPA honors. Here's this next page of it, because then he gets to about his ex-wife. He said, Siohvaughn tried a similar attempt over a decade ago with equally damaging lies and causing irreparable harm to our children. And 13 lawyers later, I was awarded sole custody of our 2 kids as an active NBA player. All I ever wanted was to have my parenting time uninterrupted, as I knew that it would be a very difficult time for our kids to navigate to this new normal. So first off, he points out how he got custody when in many cases it wouldn't happen because he was a traveling professional basketball player. More from that same slate. He says, I've given her the opportunity to reach out to Zaya's teachers, doctors, therapists over the years, and even meet her friends so she could get her own understanding of our child's needs for her life. So you see the slant here, Jackson, is going is she is one of these parents that isn't really there. In fact, he says it explicitly in this last part. He says, as a woman who claims to be a good Christian mother, I've yet to see her make any sacrifice or effort to leave her own home to participate in her children's lives in over a decade. Zaya is not that same 3-year-old child anymore, and she's screaming that to the world, but most importantly to her mother. He went on to talk about how Siohvaughn hasn't done much for them and isn't around, and he keeps giving her opportunities and she just refuses. So this has gotten really nasty, and this is one of those things I hate seeing in public. But as these lawsuits come forward, he also pointed out how he's out of the country when he wrote that, and he's just trying to get this whole thing together. And again, the petition hasn't been finalizing that yet, but there is blocking happening. So now look who's the one who's gonna be the name who's attached to this entire mess that's in the public is Zaya.
And and he even pointed it out that it was a shame that he had to address it. But just kind of the irony that she's like, Dwyane's trying to gain publicity and fame off of this while she's simultaneously like, hey everybody, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, yeah. But I do want to say that, one of the things that really brought me more into awareness of the types of discrimination and persecution that the trans community faces is a type of reactions that you'll see to Zaya. And just the fact that everyone blows up about it. There's all these conversations, especially on networks like Fox and stuff, where they're just like obsessed. And, because initially my general view of things is, I don't really care that much because let people do what they want to do. I mean, I don't really sit around thinking about groups of people in particular necessarily. I go about my life. But again, what really brought me on board is like how much hate and vitriol will go towards a child. And now everybody's wrapped up in this little girl's business and this family's business. Just because people don't really understand, because people aren't willing to listen, because people aren't willing to accept that not everybody's the same. So again, it's stories like this I think are important because it really opens up people's eyes to the types of things that transgender people face on a day-to-day basis, just people shunning them for existing.
Yeah, I just hope there's some level of coverage or protection that she then continues to get, because now this is a public fight between her parents. And it's probably enough pressure with all the other things come with it. Just even if it's an organic way that she's become this face of people beginning to understand that children can still be kids and loved and who they are in this public setting. She's still just a normal person. I think we forget that sometimes, and also this entire family.